It always started with a scream. There was an endless expanse of birch-like trees, unnatural and haunting in perfect arrangement. This forest had its own weather, light, and rules. A child's heart-shaped kite had already trapped itself against a tree when a dark, hairy beast sped past it at inhuman speed. It had a 6-year-old girl in its grasp. The scream was hers. A dog with a cone collar bolted into the woods, machine gun barking after them. Then an old man followed, running with an agility impossible for his age. He stumbled, fell, and then returned to his feet with gymnastic skill. His long white beard flapped in the wind as he dashed across the uneven ground. The scream became screams, and the beast became beasts, soaring through the forest left and right, whipping around trees with whirlwind speed. Children, boys and girls, pleaded for rescue. The old man followed the screams to a clearing where the dog was perched on a rock in a sea of ankle-deep leaves, barking madly at a giant oval mirror floating 5 feet in the air like an alien totem. The mirror's frame was bewitchingly ornate. Thin branches, woven together, 8 inches thick, agreed to hold the looking-glass against gravity. The children were now stuck in the mirror as if it were a window and not a reflection. Their pleas could not be heard. The man looked to the dog, and it barked back at him as if to say, "Break the glass, you fool!" The man raced to the back of the mirror. It was solid, smooth metal, like the back of a pocket watch. There was no visible way to get inside. He returned to the front. Inside, they could see him through the glass, and their panic grew with his indecision. "Break it, smash it open, get them out," the dog barked. Wrinkles faded with his growing panic as he searched for something to break the glass. He rifled blindly through the ankle-high leaves, and he found no rocks. There were no tree limbs low enough to break off. The dog's barking changed, and the man whipped back to the mirror, a grotesque trench club. 2 feet of scarred wood, crowned with an iron monkey skull in a nest of nails and barbed wire, floated next to the mirror. He approached the nightmarish weapon. An oversized label with calligraphy dangled from its handle. It read, "Use in case of lunacy." He cautiously grabbed the club out of the air and gestured for the children to step back from their side of the mirror. With all his might, he struck it at the center, but it had no effect. Another swing, as hard as he could, did nothing. The club was real. He could feel its weight and shock waves of impact in his bones. It was like hitting concrete, only worse, for no matter how hard he swung, the surface would not even scratch. The dog barked at his impotence. The children suddenly became more terrified. Something had arrived behind them in the dark on their side of the mirror. They crowded against the glass. They screamed, but he couldn't hear them. They cried. He had to get them out. The 6-year-old girl he was chasing pushed to the front, ignoring the presence behind them. She had beautiful dark hair and piercing green eyes which looked directly at him. She calmly pressed her hands against the glass, which compelled him to meet her hands on his side of the mirror. His heart, at first paralyzed, was then jolted. A full dose of rage gushed into his muscles, and he bashed at the mirror with blinding fury. As if to only torment, the mirror finally chipped, but it was obvious there would never be enough time to free them. He moved to the other side and swung at the metal. Superficial dings and scratches. It would take just as long. Inside, a viscous black sludge appeared at the children's feet. It jellied and bubbled past their ankles to their knees. It belched and dirtied them, threatening to drown them in less than a minute. He gave more swings, so rapid fire, it tempted his heart to give out. Each impact rang through his bones. The muck rose to their chests, and their faces twisted in terror. The dog's scolding changed to a beep. There was no time left. Age vanished with his strength. He could not swing again and fell to his knees, drooling, gasping for breath. The black slop reached the tallest nose. All were submerged. The last struggling fingertips disappeared. The hands lower on the glass vanished. Wrath fueled him to his feet for a final swing. The mirror chipped one last time. Then the forest dimmed because the show was over. He had failed again. Beep, beep, beep. Someone shut that dog off.